Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my Blacadian universe. I want to talk about this phrase, as a Black woman. Now, this is, in my world at least, a reasonable thing to say. And it is very, very triggering to some people, and particularly white women. And I wanted to explore a little bit about, why I think that is. So let's talk about it. So whenever a Black woman says, as a Black woman, I've experienced this, or as a Black woman, these are my thoughts, there's always a white woman, let's be honest, that will come back and try to invalidate that experience, or rather talk about why it's inappropriate to say that it's just for Black women. Absolutely, as women of all ethnicities, there's a commonality that we experience in our womanhood. But being a Black woman, there is a very unique experience, just as there is as being a white woman. And or an Asian woman or an Indian woman, there are differences as much as there are, similarities across our experiences. And so the only time that it becomes a problem is when Black women choose to talk about their experiences. And I'll tell you why I think this is. It is because of the history of Black women in Canada and, in North America in general. So we have been sold or explained as, I guess, as just another way of saying it. So our womanhood as Black women is never allowed to be the central theme, just as being a Black person is never allowed to be its own unique thing outside of whiteness. Whiteness and white womanhood in particularly, we've talked about weaponized white women tears, the power that holds to literally end people's lives. And so whiteness and white womanhood has been sold as the gold standard, or the only standard of womanhood that women should be aspiring to experience. So, having a traditional family, all of the stereotypical tropes that, we're supposed to believe that we're supposed to be aspiring to as women. And that, again, marriage is something that's common among many cultures and races. But white women have been we've been taught that we are supposed to, they're the most fragile, the perfect example of what a woman is supposed to be like. So whenever we try to deviate from that experience and sort of talk about that, there are other valid, real experiences outside of that perception of womanhood, women, particularly white women who believe that they are the standard, will want to jump in and say, me too. And what they're not realizing that they're doing is they are trying to take away from someone's lived experience. I am allowed, as a Black woman, to experience things that you, as a white woman, have not experienced. That is okay. That is real. That is happening, whether or not you believe it and whether or not you want it to be true. And when we talk about, allyship or support, or honestly, just basic human respect. What you need to do when someone is telling you about their lived experience is not try to correct them, but listen to them and learn from them, and maybe do some self-reflection and question why that concept is so foreign to you and so upsetting to you. So I always say that if anyone says, when I purposely, and I'll be honest, I do purposely do it when I know someone is going to be, set off. I know I'm Black, so I say set off, rather than triggered. But when I know that someone's going to be triggered by me centering myself in my experiences as a Black woman, I always try to slip in the words as a Black woman. I know it's my level of trying to well, frankly, it's just a little, I love being petty around racists. Um, and so what I do is I sort of, like say, I, I'm trying to be contrary or just saying, this is something that I've experienced. And I know it's entirely because I am a Black woman. And, if someone was like, well, what about all women, all women? And I'm like, we're fighting. And so those are the magic words. That's right. That's the magic words that will get me to be like, explain that to me. Like, tell me a little bit more about that. And I'll be like, oh, well, maybe that's true for you. But I think it's important that you listen what I'm telling you that I've experienced in my life as a Black woman. And they'll just be like clutching their pearls, all shocked. And you know what? To be fair, some really do realize their mistake and they'll appreciate that, what I'm telling them is valid, that my experience is valid. Like, not everything is about you, Karen. Okay. Not everything is about you. We have experiences as Black women as well outside of you. So there's the other piece of this. And, when I talk about being um, trained to look at white womanhood as that standard, um, and that it's also teaching us that white womanhood is the only type of experience that matters. So issues that are only impacting, white women are the ones that have to be focused on. And so when we talk about things about, you know, Black women have like, poor maternal health because a lot of their issues are disregarded. These are the kinds of issues that it would be when we talk about womanhood as a whole, if it was truly um, encompassing of all women's experiences, these would be things that people other than Black women would be talking about. But it is not the case because, we have focused on, other types of health experiences for women, which of course, like women, all women are, susceptible to sort of, women health issues, cancers, etc., breast cancer. But when we talk about something that's impacting our health due to racial inequalities, these are also women issues. But because it's not centered on whiteness, it doesn't become a buzzy, marketable, tangible thing because people will think that nobody will care. And to be frank, outside of the Black community, if they don't think that it's going to matter to anybody except for Black people, they're not going to give it the attention that it needs. And so um when I talk about things, so when someone says, as a Black woman, I feel like, my healthcare provider isn't giving me the attention I need, you need to perk up and listen because that's a legitimate fact that is backed by hard data. So these are the kinds of things when we say that our experiences as women are not universal, and you need to, if you are truly an ally and a support and non-racist and trying to decolonize your mind, You need to open yourself up to those things because it is real and we don't need to justify it. You just need to listen and support as a woman. So we need to shift our thinking away from the fact that Black women only exist to fight and support the causes of one group of women. And historically, that's always been white women. So whether it's be the right to vote or equal rights or all these types of things, we're only united in that sense when Black bodies are doing the work and being the voice to advocate for white people. And what we need, especially in these times, is for white women to take up that mantle and fight, use that privilege of whiteness, the centered of your experience, the fact that, historically people think that your causes are the ones that need the most attention and are the most valid, to shine light on the experiences of women that are outside of your ethnic group. And that will really show us that this fight is universal. I, as a Black woman, very pointed comment there, I exist in a way, and my experiences and how I move through this world is different than as a white woman. And I, um, I am more than just your sidekick, that sassy Black friend that supports you as the main character. I am the main character. I am the main character. My experiences are main, they are standard, they are common for Black women. And that is reasonable, valid to say. And if you are truly a supporter and an ally, it is without question able to be supported by you. So I will end by saying this. If you feel the need to center yourself when women of color, specifically, especially Black women, are talking about their experiences in the world, do not interrupt them, but really look inward. Really look inward and see why you feel the need to comment and ask for, proof of their experience, or try to say that they cannot have something that is uniquely theirs. Ask yourself why you feel the need to criticize them for putting themselves front and center when sharing something that is very valid, real, and important to them. And ask yourself if that is just not a tool of white supremacy, when you can't even listen to someone and show them empathy and care when it is about Blackness. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Please let me know what you think. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.